Hmm. So, got off the phone with a good brother, Brother Lukman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Honest too. And we had a very beautiful discussion concerning trust principles inside of religious doctrine. And so this is something that I truly enjoy dealing in. Being able to see what is beneath it all. Right? So what I'm going to do right here, right now, I'm going to qualify this statement, right? So the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America used economically, right? Jurali has stated to us all that I have given you everything it takes to save a nation. Now take it and save yourselves. When Noble Jurali was said to have made this statement, right? He was holding this up. Okay? So when Noble Jurali says that he has given us everything it takes to save a nation, he was holding up the Circle 7 Quran and the 101 questions and answers for Moorish Americans for the Quran, which is also on the back, if you know, the Religious National Trust Authority affidavit. Okay? So he also said, free national standards and power make a man and a nation. And he also let us know within the religious literature that religion is the economy of man, of human life. All right? Me stating all of this for the record is to now expose the practical, applicable principles within this religious scripture, right? A lot of Moorish Americans out there, particularly inside their temples, right? They read this information, they study this in the Circle 7, and they, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, they are not out in the world using their religious doctrine economically. Right? Anywho, Jurali set up a trust, and he's using the religious scripture to express the trust law. So what I'm going to do is I was just doing this, and I was unable to stop seeing what I was seeing. I'm going to read chapter 2, right? We're going to go through a few chapters in this Circle 7 and the stories. We're going to look at these religious stories And we're going to point out key words and concepts as we go along so that we can register the true idea that's going on here so that we can actually see how this stuff is supposed to apply as a secured party, creditor, principal, equitable, how these things are supposed to apply with trusts in the states, etc., right? So we're going to go with chapter 2 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Education of Mary and Elizabeth in Zone, Egypt. 1. The son of Herod, Archelaus, reigned in Jerusalem. He was a selfish, cruel king. He put to death. Anytime we hear death, the word is debt. Okay? He put to death all those who did not honor him. So we're opening up here with someone who's in the ruling position, who is not acting as a steward, but rather as a tyrant. We see this a lot in common law. We see this a lot in the courts. We see this a lot in the government structure, etc. Right? 2. He called in council all the wisest men and asked about the infant claimant to his throne. Infant claimant. This is the beneficiary estate that he's talking about. So we have a ruler who is unjust. The ruler is not acting as a steward, which is a servant to the people. He's acting as a tyrant. Okay? And everyone who went against his tyranny, he deemed them debtors. To be a debtor means to have no standing in the court. Okay? All right. Again, the infant claimant. This ruler who at that time, right, was in a position of power, he sought to know about the infant claimant to his throne. To his throne, okay? And again, the infant claimant is a beneficiary. It's an estate. What estate? Who? What person is coming to seek to replace me in my throne? It says the council said that John and Jesus were dead, and then he was satisfied. So the infant claimants in the Roman venue, John and Jesus, as infant claimants, were presumed to be dead. All right? That's what this is saying. Mind you, this is the Social Security right here. Okay? We're talking about estates. So it says The council said that John and Jesus were both dead, and then he was satisfied. Now Joseph, so it led with the father, Mary, and their son. So we just have grantor, trustee, beneficiary. We're down in Egypt in Zone, and John was with his mother in the Judean hills. So we now have two estates. There's two estates, right? It says Elihu and Salome sent messengers in haste to find Elizabeth and John. So Elihu, that's the Most High. Salome, that's the national representative. Sent messengers. So they were presentments. They were calling tracks. Were sent in haste to find Elizabeth and John. They found them and brought them to Zone. So John and his mother were in the hills, and they were both brought to Zone, Egypt, where Jesus and his mother were. Okay? We're going to follow this here. Now Mary and Elizabeth, so these are two trustees. So Mary and Elizabeth were marveling much because of their deliverance. They were in awe. They were excited. It's like, hey, we are away from. Remember, someone was looking to kill their babies. Someone was looking to usurp their estates. Okay. It says, Elihu said, it is not strange. There are no happenings. Law governs all events. So, the fact that these estates have been taken out of Roman feudal law or jurisdiction. There you go. These two being pulled out of the Roman jurisdiction or the feudal jurisdiction was no happenstance. It was a necessary thing in order for equity, right? In order for principal equity to manifest its true self. Anywho, all right. It says, from olden times it was ordained that you should be with us and in this sacred school be taught. So the mothers with the children are about to be taught their roles in a state. We're about to learn how estates are set up. Okay? Elihu and Salome took Mary and Elizabeth out to the sacred grove nearby, where they were wont to teach. So they're being educated. Elihu said to Mary and Elizabeth, may you esteem yourself thrice blessed, for you are chosen mothers of long promised sons. Administrators, trustees of long promised security estate. Remember, promise to pay to debt. Who are ordained to lay a brick, who are ordained to lay a solid rock, a sure foundation stone, on which the temple of perfected man shall rest. a temple that shall never be destroyed. So we have estates, thrice blessed. This is trust law. It's speaking specifically to trust law. They are thrice blessed. Okay? And where are we at here? It says that law governs all events. So law is the state. All law is the state. Okay? Governs all events. Your state is your governing body. All right? This is your trust establishment. All right, so Zone Egypt is the state which John the Baptist and his mother, Jesus, his mother, and his father, they all met at the state in order to build the temple. All right, so now the temple is the personalities or the stations or the roles that operate within the state. All right, let's see here. It says, we measure time by cycle ages. And the gate to every age we deem a milestone in the journey of the race. So time is measured in cycle ages. So we're talking about how trusts and estates operate according to the economy of the times. According to the economic system of the times. We measure time by cycles. We know we can look at this from 1913 to 1929, right? Or maybe it was 1871 to 1913. Nonetheless, we know from 1929 into 1933, that was a whole that was a cycle that reset. You got the Great Depression, the recession. These are cycle ages in economics, right? Where we are ascending, right? We are taking the set principles and we are applying them according to, again, the economic structure, the economic security structure of the times. Which right now we're on debits and credits. We're not on tangible gold. That's not the economy of the time. The economy of the time is trust in the states. Right? Debits and credits, pardon. Right? Let's see here. It says, an age has passed. The gate into another age flies open at the touch of time. This is the preparation age of soul, the kingdom of Emmanuel, of Allah and man. So, we find out that soul, we're in the soul age. Soul equals Emmanuel. Which literally means God and man. So again, Allah or God, God is the state. So we're saying that the state is in man. Man and his God are one. All right. It says, and these, your sons, so these, your estates, your beneficiaries, will be the first to tell the news and teach the gospel of goodwill, which is good faith, goodwill to men and peace on earth. So that's good faith, that's full faith and credit. Goodwill, what is it? Goodwill to men and peace on earth, right? Is full faith and credit. That's how you trust, in full faith and credit. All right. It says, a mighty work is theirs, for carnal man want not the light. So whatever the light is, this is what is being applied to the times, and there are men and women who do not desire to get with the times. They wish to hold on to what once was. It's now the light's not even shining, like as an example, for those who do it in common feudal law, back and forth. Those are not that's not the economy at the time. That's what we left out of in 1929, right? But you have people who want to still try to exert that trust in the state concept based on these principles, right? So it says that a mighty work is theirs, for carnal men want not the light. They love the dark. And when the light shines in the dark, they comprehend it not. Again, a lot of your gurus are going through this right now. Really, they are. Right? All right, so it says, we call these sons. So we find that John and Jesus are sons of Egypt, of Zon, of the state. These sons of man, we call these sons revealers of the light. So they're bringing something out of darkness into light. That's called republicing. That's taking the public into the private and then back out into the public. We call these sons, these estates, revealers of the light. That's Article 4, Section 4, and then Amendment 4 of your Constitution that we're talking about here. All right. But they must have the light before they can reveal the light. Right? What is the light? The light is the knowledge of how the economics work. All right? How does it work? Because, again, we're not dealing in any tangible gold or silver. Right? They have the light, but they must first learn how to use it in order to reveal it themselves. Right? This is the light. This is the light, y'all. All right? We are going to take this out of darkness back into the light. Okay? Let's see here. And you must teach your sons and set their souls on fire. Where we at? With love, with love and holy zeal. This is an action. All right? But you'll see why I'm pointing this out. It says, teach them that all law and man are one. All right? Teach them that God and man, that state and the statesman are one when they operate in the trust law. All right? God speaks through man, the state speaks through its officer who is over the son, the estate. All right? It says, teach them that all law and man are one, but that through carnal thoughts and words and deeds, man tore himself away from all law and debased himself. So it's stating that because mankind is they're doing all of their business in the Social Security name or number, yeah, and name, right? This is the sin. This is the sin, because sin is living in debt, right? So again, we read, teach them that Allah and man are one. So this is a party. This is more than one. All right, Allah and man are one. All right, so this is a two-party at least. All right. Teach them that Allah and man are one, but that through carnal thoughts and works and deeds, man tore himself away from Allah and debased himself. So again, operating with that Social Security card as opposed to your passport information is expressing that you tore yourself away from the state. So you have no provision. All right? You tore yourself away from the state, and so you have abandoned the trust. You have abandoned the estate. You put a hole in your boat. All right? You put a hole in your ship. This is your ship. You put a hole in your ship, everything keeps going back to this here. All right, let's see. It says, teach that the holy breath, you see this word holy again, right? Okay, let's put that out there. All right, it says, teach that the holy breath would make them one again, restoring harmony and peace. Teach them that the holy breath, so what is the holy breath? Holy means perfected, complete, agreed upon. Breath is the spirit, it is the word. The Holy Quran, the holy breath, this is the agreement of a party, of the parties. This is you being with the holy breath is stating that you are a citizen of your state. Because only citizens of the state can administrate the estates in trust as officials of the state. All right, okay. It says, again, teach that the holy breath would make them one again, restoring harmony and peace. Harmony is the principle. Peace is the equity. All right? That nothing can make them one but love. So only love can bring them together and make them one again. All right? And again, love. So love is salvation. All right. It says that nothing can make them one but love, that Allah so loved the world that he clothed his son in flesh, that man may comprehend. So he clothed. I am clothed with the state's protection, with the state's authority. I am cloaked. I am cloaked in the authority of the state. So again, I am cloaked in the flesh. This is my living person. I'm clothed in the flesh. You dig me? So one of the people, I now have a person that operates for the living. I'm not a person. I have a person. All right. It says that nothing can make them one but love. That Allah so loved the world that he clothed his son in flesh, that man may comprehend. The only Savior of the world is love. And Jesus, son of Mary, comes to manifest that love to men. So Jesus means love. Whatever Jesus is love, salvation, and son of Mary. So this is an estate that comes from a fiduciary, the mother, right, held in trust by the state, the father, if you will, or the grantor of the trust, right, and the state. Where we at here? It says, now love cannot manifest until it's pardon. Now, love cannot manifest until its way has been prepared. And nothing can rend the rock and bring down lofty hills and fill the valleys up and thus prepare the way except for purity. So purity. Purity paves the way. Okay? Let me continue. But purity in life men do not comprehend, and so it too comes in flesh. Now, for you Moorish Americans, what does purity mean? Purity means, white. White means purity. Purity means God, which is the state. God means ruler of the land. So this has to come before love comes. Well, that's what you see, unfortunately. But that's according to your spells. That's not according to my spells. Anywho, because we got to demystify all that superstitious stuff. Be less. If I wish for you to be less, I would say be less. I wouldn't say blessed. I'm covered in the blood. Blood is equity. I'm getting to that. Blood is in the heart. I'm covered in the blood. You motherfucking right, I'm is. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed because I'm covered in the equity that poured down, right, along with the water, the blood and the water. I'm baptized in the blood and the water, the principle and the equity. But you, hey, if you don't like being blessed, it's all on you. Back to the grisin. All right. It says, but in prime example, right? But purity in life men do not comprehend. And so it too came in flesh. It says, and you, Elizabeth. Now remember, the name Elizabeth means house of God. Keep that in mind. So he's speaking to the house of God. This is an estate. John comes out of the house of God. All right. All right. Let's see. It says, and you, Elizabeth, are blessed, because yours is purity made flesh, and he shall pave the way for love. So again, equity, purification. Okay? Purification of sin, which is securitization of debt, which means credit, right? Purity must come first. You must come as one with the state. You come to do business in clean hands as fiduciary. You have no stake in it, so there's no reason for you to act iniquitous, right? Or to have bad faith character in your actions. You've come to perform. You've come to perform. Understand that you've come to perform, right? All right. It says, and you, Elizabeth, are blessed, because yours is purity made flesh, and he shall pave the way for love. This age, remember, age is a cycle. We left an age coming out of 1929 when the economic crash of that time happened. All right, so that is an age that we're talking about. Economically, that is an age. Religiously, an age may refer to a longer space and time. Anywho, let's see here. This age will comprehend but little of the works of purity and love. But not a word is lost. For in the book of Allah's remembrance, for in the record of the state's recognition, for in the book of Allah's remembrance, a registry is made. A registry is made. In the book of Allah, in the state records, vital records, a registry is made of every thought and word and deed. So that sounds like commercial tracking. It's keeping an account of the debits. That's what this is. Excuse me, that's what the Social Security card is. All right, this is the son, and the Social Security card. That's the actual estate. That's the property held in the state. Let's see here. It says, and when the world is ready to receive, lo, Allah will send a messenger to open the book and copy from its sacred pages all the messages of purity and love. So now, who is this messenger that Allah will send to open the book and copy from it the sacred pages of the messages of purity and love? First, let's find out, what is purity and love? Okay, so we find out that purity is the principle and love is equity, right? So again, Allah is going to send some type of recorder to write down everything dealing in your principle and equity, right? There it is. It says, and I'm going to read it again. And when the world is ready to receive, lo, Allah will send a messenger to open the book and copy from its sacred pages all the messages of purity and love. That's the Secretary of State. That is the Secretary of State. That's the messenger of the state that's going to deal with your purity and your love. Secretary of State. It says, then every man on earth will read the words of life in his language, of his native tongue, of his native land, excuse me. Meaning that then every man, according to their national constitution, will be able to set themselves correctly, and men will see the light, the gnosis, the knowledge, the knowing, the truth of the agreement. Will walk in the light and be the light. Again, that's 3. And man again will be at one with all law, with the state. Right? So now let's get to the next one, right? Elihu's lessons. Now it's the unity of life. So this is a coming together, right? Unity means to bring everything back to one port, one destination. There we go. All right. The unity of life. This is the life. It says again, Elihu and his pupils in the sacred grove. Excuse me. Again, Elihu met his pupils in the sacred grove and said, no man lives unto himself. For every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. So now we're in the opening of this book. Again, we're seeing that the people, we, the people, there is no sovereign citizen, right? There is no sovereignty without the state. The state are we, the people. The government, your state government is made up of people of that state. We, the people. Okay? So no one can be their own king. All right, is what's going on here. Everyone is bound, literally bound. I'm bound to everyone in Pennsylvania who also has a vital records registration. I'm bound by cords. All right. It says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. Blessed are the poor in heart, or the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. To me, does that not sound like a fiduciary not arguing? I'm here to accept it all. As by the authority vested in me by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I am Statesman Davis L. I've come to settle the account. I do not have no controversy. All right? That's what that sounds like. They will love. Blessed are the pure, the equitable in heart. Principal equity. For they will love. They will do equity. And not even demand it from another. I'm just here to fulfill. I'm just here to perform. All right? It says, they will not do to other men what they would not have other men do unto them. So again, this is the honor system. This is equity. This is the golden rule. Do unto others. This is an equitable, this is justice. This is love. This is purity and love. It really is, right? So anytime we're talking about Allah, it's the state. I need y'all to take that into mind and consideration. Anytime God is mentioned, it is the state. And we are to understand that however the state is, that is in man. Man has that same standard as one in and with and as the state. All right? All right. It says the higher self Yeah, I'm like, hold on. I must have missed something. Yeah, I'm like, I knew I missed something. All right, hold on. All right. So it says there are two cells. Okay, there are two selves. Self is a person. Keep that in mind. There are two selves, it says. The higher and the lower. The higher and the lower. All right, so we have the higher and the lower now. All right, real quick, just to catch. The higher self, last name first. This is the professional self. First name first. This is evidence of a beneficiary or a minor, someone who's not an official or authorized to administrate or to do. This cannot do for itself. This does for this what it cannot do for itself. All right. Okay. It says there are two cells, the higher and the lower. Higher self, lower self. All right. Okay, let's get this rolling. It says the higher self is human spirit clothed with soul. Just a moment ago, we seen the soul is in the heart, supposed to be set with fire, right? Thrown on out there, right? Let's see here. The higher self is human spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of all law. Made in the form of all law. So all law is the state. So this self is the state national, or the nation state citizen. This is the U.S. citizen that operates officially. This is the higher self. This is your passport self. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires, Trus Corpus, the body of the self, of desires. It is a reflection of the higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. So if you see, it's the same name, but it's reversed. Right? It says, the lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is Allah in man, the state in man, as man, and will not pass away. So this is descendable. This is not descendable. This can go generations, but this right here, this passes away. Once you hit, this is your redeemed estate. This is your estate not redeemed. This is the boy who never grows up. This child, this self never grows up. This is the little child that you got to look out for inside yourself. All right. It says, the lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires is a reflection of higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. So the lower self comes in the flesh too. It says the lower self is an illusion and will pass away. So at some point in time, you have to stop using the Social Security number, right, to stop adding to the national debt of your state. All right, this has to become inactive for it to pass away. All right. It says the higher self is Allah in man and will not pass away. It says the higher self is the embodiment of truth. The truth will set you free, won't it? This is the embodiment. Embodiment. Physically. This is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, and so is falsehood manifest. So this is an appearance. This is like when you look in the mirror and your left side becomes your right side. You know it's you, but everything ain't matching up. These look the same. It's the same name, but they're done differently. And if I keep using this name, it is unprofessional to mix your personal business with professional business, is what it's telling you. All right. It says, the higher self is justice. Jesus means justice. To the Moorish Americans. So this is justice. This is it right here. That's what you need. This is your Jesus. This is your justice right here. This is your justice. What is a justice? One who renders just determinations, rulings. One who rules in favor of the people. That's justice. One who metes out that which is due. In equity. You heard me? In law and equity. You heard me? All right. It says, the higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. That which is right. Is that not equity, people? Sounds like equity to me. It says the lower self is what the higher self is not. So we know that the higher self would be the creditor. So this is the living side of a ledger. This would be on the right-hand side of the ledger. Right? And this is everything this is not. So this isn't a living person. This name does not represent a living person. This represents a living estate. This represents the living person over the living estate. If there is no living person over the living estate, then the estate is deceased. It's a decedent. Let's keep it going. All right. Check this out. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murders, theft, and everything that harms. Economic slavery. breeds just that. Misappropriation of funds. Denied access to funds. This is scarcity breeds crime, right? So it's saying that the lower self, because remember, your Social Security, if you're using the Social Security number to do any business, you are only adding to the national debt. You are not balancing the debt whatsoever. Here you get the balance. Here you just keep adding to the debt. There is no credit to the debt. All right. It says the lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. Because again, the people are living in debt. They're living in sin. The higher self is mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life. Mother, it means the bringer thereout of. This is where it comes from. So the higher self, the protection of the state is where the authority derives for you to administrate the trust. The higher self is the mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life. What is harmony? Balance. You can balance the accounts. We're taking into account. This is trust in the state, planning, wills and testaments. This is trust account, trust auditing. This is what we're doing here. All right. Trust accounting is what I meant to say. Debt collection, by the way. And debt forgiveness, by the way. All right. It says, the lower self is rich in promises. The lower self is rich in promises. Do y'all catch that? In promises. A pledge. The lower self is full in promises. It's presentments. It says, where we at? The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. Peace is equity. So it's full of promise. Absolutely appreciate it. But it has no true value by itself as it is. It's just a promise. It's not even secure. All right. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery or misery, and death. Death means debt. This will only ever give you debt if you do not secure it. We secure our debts and turn them into credits, again, by becoming one with the state. Right? All right, let's go. It gives men apples that are lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell. Their cores are full of bitterness and gall. So yeah, people go out there all the time blowing cash. We've learned from those who we consider to be celebrities, if you pay attention to them, they tell you that having money does not equate to happiness. We're on the outside looking in thinking like, damn, and they're letting you know that this statement that was just made is so true. It says, hold on. Boom. All right. Back online. It says, it gives men apples that are lovely to the eye, so appearance, and pleasant to the smell. So sensations are high, right? But their cores, its source, where it came from, full of bitterness and gall, nothing beneficial, nothing redeemable. It says, if you would ask me what to study, I would say yourselves. Because remember, we have two selves, according to the literature, right? And when you well have studied them, and then would ask me what to study next, I would reply, yourselves. So why does he say this twice? The first time you get to recognize the two selves in union, and then you study again to see how do you move this in union. All right? As above, so below. There you go. As within, so without. You learn this internally, and then you study it so that you can apply it externally as well. All right. It says, he who knows well his lower self knows the illusions of the world. We're talking commerce. Knows of the things that pass away. And he who knows his higher self knows all law, knows the state, knows well the things that cannot pass away. Thrice blessed, again, we got that three. Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. Hopefully y'all can see that. Can y'all see that? Yeah, I can see that on there. All right. Okay. So where was I at? Okay. Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. He has been ransomed from the perils of the lower self. That's what I meant to put. This is the lower self, y'all. The debit side is the lower self. He has been ransomed from the perils of the lower self and is himself his higher self. Salvation. This is Emmanuel. Right here. This is the cross of Jesus. This is the crown, so this is God. This is all the sin. This is all the credit. This is the left hand of God. This is the right hand of God. We see that the purity, which is the principle, and the equity, which is the love, all come out on the right side of God. Jesus got poked in his heart. The water and the blood ran and flowed. I'm covered. I'm blessed. I'm blessed over here. This is the water This is the blood. You heard. All right. Anywho, where we at? It says, men seek salvation from an evil that they deem a living monster of the netherworld. And they have gods that are but demons in disguise. So they just express color of authority, color of office, color of law. Literally. Let me read that again. Men seek salvation from an enemy that they deem a living monster of the netherworld. And they have gods that are but demons in disguise. So God is authority. And they're demons in disguise. So it's cholera. All right. It says, all powerful, yet full of jealousy and hate and lust. So we know that this is what really happens with the administration of the estates of the people, who don't recognize the difference between their debtors and their creditors, and they engage in contracts with courts, banks, etc., and they find themselves in peril. Absolutely. Because there are people who are administrating, right, and they know that you don't know. And they've gotten so comfortable with you not knowing that they now believe that they running something. Until you stand up and say, 100. Oh, Sister Energy, Islam. I've opted out. Absolutely. All right, so where we at here? It says, whose favors must be bought with costly sacrifice of fruits and the lives of birds and animals and humankind. So what is that? Those are resources. Resources. All right? It says, and yet these gods, right, these judge surrogates, these administrative hearing officers, appearing colorably as Article 3s or any other judicial, right? Anyone attempting to enforce law when equity is always on the table. It's always on. It's the heart of the matter. Equity is the heart of the matter. Anywho, right? It says, this evil is a myth. So this is telling you off rip that all that stuff that they're doing, it doesn't matter. Right? It's not reality. Right? It's not the holy breath. It's not the complete truth. Right? It says this evil is a myth. These gods are made of air, no status, clothed with shadows of a thought, no jurisdiction. They only dwell, the only devil which men must be redeemed is self. Your lower self is your devil self. To be a devil means to have lived in transgression. You've lived backwards, not according to the law. So the only devil from which men must be redeemed. So you have to be redeemed. You have to redeem your devil. You have to redeem your lower self. You have to redeem the lower self, the estate. This is the title to the vast estate. All right. It says, if man would find his devil, he must look within. His name His name is self. If man would find his devil, he must look within. His name is self. That's my name. That's my name. If man would find his Savior, he must look within. Well, damn, I got to find my Savior where I found my devil? I have to go inside, right? Listen. If man would find his Savior, he must look within. And when the demon self has been dethroned, the Savior, love, that's equity. Where are you? And when the demon self has been dethroned, the Savior, love, will be exalted to the throne of power. Official capacity, professional capacity, authority, jurisdiction. When this runs inactive, and you're only operating on your higher self with your real estate account, right? This is salvation. This is investing and returning on investments. This is your revenge. This is salvation, revenue, revenue, status, jurisdiction, adjudication. Well, if they can't adjudicate, you still need yours because you perform in love. In love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You see there's 5 up here. All right, let's see here. It says, the David of the light is purity, who slays the strong Goliath of the dark and seats love on the throne. We're talking trust law, y'all. Now we're going to get into the ministry of death. Remember, death means debt. So this is the administration of debt. Good evening. Peace and love to you all. Absolutely. When John, remember, John is purity. John is the principal. This is why he's going first. When John was 12 years old, just before he became a man, he got on a 12-step ladder, and just before he was going to jump off and become one with Allah. When John was 12 years old, his mother died. So the trustee passed on, right? And neighbors laid her body in a tomb among her kindred in the Hebron burying ground and near to Zachariah's tomb. Why near to Zachariah's tomb? Because Zachariah is her father. That's the grantor of her estate. And they're all in LeBron, so they're all in the state. All of this assets, their collateral, has gone back to the state to provide for the posterity. All right. It says, and John was deeply grieved. He wept. Matheno said, it is not well to weep because of death. Now remember, this is debt. So we're about to see how to make a claim on the decedent estate. Death is no enemy of man. This is not your enemy. This is not your enemy. This is not inherently good or bad. This is not your enemy. Forgot. The Social Security number. That is not your enemy. Thought I had it here. Was definitely using it earlier. My brain is telling me I kind of remember where it's at, but I don't. Right. Give me a second. I just want to show y'all. There we go. You see here. There we go. All right. Death is no enemy of man. You need debt in order to establish credit. You need it. Credit is just another name or term for good debt. All right? Death is no enemy of man. It is a friend who, when the work of life is done, just cuts the cord that binds the human boat to earth, that it may sail on smoother shores. So, when you secure that, you get to sail on the boat. You get commercially, you're secure. Death is not an enemy. Debt is not your enemy. We have to learn how to use it. The rich use debt. The rich they comprehend debt. Its good side, its positive side, and its negative side. Its in and its output sides. Right? They understand that. And this is what we're learning. You're just plain rich. We just have to understand what we're looking at here. Okay. It says, no language can describe a mother's work. And yours was tried and true. But she was not called henceforth until her tasks were done. So we're talking about a fiduciary who has performed, discharged her duty. She's stepping on. Right? Okay. He is now ascending into that capacity for himself. You're now operating as the administrator of your own estate now. Okay? That's somebody says. Okay. This slide, Brother Joseph. All right, let's see here. Where we at? Okay. It says, the cause of death are always for the best, for we are solving problems there as well as here. And one is sure to find himself where he can solve his problems best in the credit. Right? So again, right? This right here is not an enemy. Pardon. This is a tool. This is a tool. You know what? Let me show you what I'm talking about, man. This is a tool in your bag, yo. What's in your wallet, yo? What's in your wallet, yo? Right? But again, this is a tool to be used, not to be feared, not to be squandered, not to be dismissed. You need debits. You need, in this economy, this represents an asset. And you just need to secure it. Right? All right. Where we at here? The cause of death are always for the best, for we are solving problems there as well as here, and one is sure to find himself where he can solve his problems best. It is but selfishness that makes one wish to call again to earth departed souls. So, once you're over here, why trying to use this over here? Once you're already, this is the sin again. Don't mix private and public. Don't mix personal and professional. All right. It says, then let your mother rest in peace. Let your mother rest in peace in equity. Let her be discharged in equity. Let her be relieved of her duty in equity. All right? And compensated appropriately. Right? So, again, this is the generational wealth descending and not being redeemed by another beneficiary who has stood up to stand up as a trustee in place of the past trustee, the emeritus. All right. It says, a crisis in your life has come. And you must have a clear conception of the work that you are called to do. Remember, he's purity. John came in purity. He came in equity. Right? To set the way. He's setting the way for love. So again, John is the principal. It says, the sages of all ages call you harbinger. So you're the one who comes front. You're the principal representative. For you will go before the Messiah's face, the chosen one, to pave his way and make the people ready to receive their king. The king is justice. The people must follow love. They must come in purity. Right? Leave in love in order to be redeemed by the state. Okay. It says, this readiness is purity of heart. Purity of heart. Principal equity. Exclusive equity. All right? And again, 1929, 1933, the Emergency Banking Relief Act placed us in equity. This is why it is most conducive with Islamic banking, as we can see here. All right. This readiness is purity of heart. None but the pure in heart can recognize the king. None but the official, the fiduciary, who's come in equity. So remember, this is you acting on behalf of the principal with equitable ownership. You're the purity. You stand as the state's agent, surety. But yourself, your love self, the equitable, that's the equity. That is the equitable owner. You are not the surety. The state is the surety. Representing. You are representing the state. Again, this is why your last name is first. Family name is first. Alright? To teach men to be pure in heart, you must yourself be pure in heart and word and deed. So we talk about claims. You got to be pure. You have to come in equity. Clean hands, right? What they call it? Purification, right? Baptism. All of these things. They relate to equity. Come in clean hands. Come to do good faith, goodwill, peace on earth, and goodwill to all. Right? In infancy, the vow for you was made, and you became a Nazarite. So when you were born, damn, I keep putting stuff to the side. It says, when you were born in infancy, the vow for you was made, and you became a Nazarite. So when I was born, the vow was made, and I became a Pennsylvania through registry. The razor shall not touch your face nor head, and you shall taste not wine nor fiery drinks. Meaning, you are to act as your character has to be that of the national standard. Okay, you can't be out here acting like, and you can't play both sides of the fence. You can't be a nigga and be a man, basically. All right, so you can't be out here, your pants all off, your behind, weed in your breath and lick out your pores, out here building on the corner and talk about peace to you. No. You took a vow. You must have the national standard. It says It says men need a pattern for their lives. They love to follow, not to lead. So most of mankind love to consume. Your lower self, that's consumption only. That is a fucking priority. That is a consumer. Your social security entity is a consumer only. Your passport is a consumer producer. It invests and returns. It contributes. Sole consumers, they do not contribute. They chew of the fat. They eat up. They squander the wealth. And again, if you operate with just the social security number, that's what you're doing. That is what you're doing. You're operating in sin. All right, let's see. The man who stands upon the corners of the paths and points the way, but does not go, is just a pointer, and a block of wood can do the same. So that's all your gurus right there. Let me read that again. The man who stands upon the corners of the paths and points the way, but does not go, is just a pointer. That's all he is. That's all he is. And a block of wood can do just the same. So if a person, this sounds like a caveat in contracting to me. If you don't know a man's standard to be righteous, trust that man to be who he says he is. Right? If you know that he hasn't gone, and how would you know if he's just a pointer or if he has gone that way? The only way for you to know is if you yourself have also gone that way. You will know. Right? Men like to follow. You must lead for them to follow to become leaders. A leader is a consumer / producer. A follower is a consumer. They take it in. But you got to produce something with it. Anywho. The teacher treads the way. Remember, a teacher, the master teacher in school is called what? The principal. Principal. Teacher, the one who comes forth. Right? The teacher treads the way. On every span of ground, he leaves his footprints, clearly cut, which all can see and be assured that he, their master, went that way. So if we all understand it, trust law, estate planning, wills, testaments, right, and accounting, if we understand the basics of trust accounting, right, we'll be well equipped, right? Well equipped, assured. We will know this is the steps that the master or the one who is showing us, this is how they became a master. They're teaching you how to become a master. A master is a servant. All right. The teacher treads the way. On every span of ground, he leaves his footprints clearly cut, which all can see and be assured that he, their master, went that way. Men comprehend the inner life by what they see and do. This is why I manifested it. This is why you gotta be active. Once you get it in there, you gotta put it out there. Men comprehend the inner by what they see and do. They come to Allah through ceremonies and forms. So they're coming to the state through ceremonies and applications and shit, but not truly knowing themselves. Lower self-activity. You come into the state through ceremonies and forms. You're not on the proper side. Ceremonies and forms, that sounds like contracting in the public with liability. Because you're dealing with human to human, you're dealing with comprehension, right? As opposed to dealing with things internally within the system and the private, if you will, where it already knows what to do and it can operate. That's limited liability, right? Anywho. And so when you would make men know that sins, that debt, are washed away by purity in life, a rite symbolic may be introduced. So this rite, this symbolic rite that we're learning, is how to travel from the west to be seated in the east and to be found rising in the east. At roll call. Roll call. Be found in the east when your character is called. Do not be found over here on the debtor side of the ledger when your name or your number is called. All right. In water washes the bodies of the people who would turn away from debt and strive for principality in life. But let me read it how it really says. In water, wash the bodies of the people who would turn away from sin and strive for purity in life. That's what it really said. This rite of cleansing is a preparation rite, and they who thus are cleansed comprise the temple of purity. What is the temple of purity? Purity is the principle. The temple is the stage. And you shall say, you men of Israel, hear, reform, and wash. Become the sons of purity. And you shall be forgiven. So he spoke specifically to the Jesuits. He told the Jews, respectfully, to come into equity. And your debts too shall be forgiven. We know why those particular brothers and sisters are mentioned, because economically they have their hands on the joystick, so to speak. The rite of cleansing and this temple are but symbolic of the cleansing of the soul, which does not come from outward show, but is the temple within. Now remember, the soul was set on fire with holy zeal to come in purity and love. The soul is the salvation. The soul. We keep talking about the soul. This is the soul. This is the body. You set the soul on fire with holy zeal. The soul operator, administrator. All right? Now, you may never point the way and tell the multitudes to do what you have never done. It says, now you may never point the way and tell the multitudes to do what you have never done. But you must go before and show the way. You are to teach that men must wash, so you must lead the way. Your body must be washed. Where we at? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. You are to teach that men must wash, so you must lead the way. Your body must be washed, symbolic of cleansing the soul. So by cleansing your body, you are symbolically cleansing the soul. All right? John said, why need I wait? May I not go at once and wash? So he said, yeah, but absolutely. I'm the national representative. Why am I even waiting? I already know my duty. Let me get to my post. This is what John's saying. As the professional citizen. The national is the professional. All right. It says Matheno said, "'Tis well." Remember, when man places his hand in Allah's hand, all is well. So Matheno says, "'Tis well." And then they went down to the Jordan ford, and east of Jericho, Yerich, east of Yorich, of Uruk. If y'all know, y'all know. If y'all don't, hey. All right. Just where the host of Israel crossed, when first they entered Canaan, they tarried for a time. Matheno taught the harbinger, and he explained to him the inner meaning of the cleansing rite and how to wash himself and how to wash the multitude. So remember, he's leading by example. He's purifying his soul. He's perfecting his status. He's correcting it. Correcting his status. He's correcting it. He's living in it. He's operating in it. All right? It says, now in Engedi's hills, Matheno's work was done. And he and John went down to Egypt. So they went back to the state. They rested not until they reached the temple of Saqqara in the valley of the Nile. Saqqara is inner love. Excuse me, it's inner peace. It is like saying Shekinah. Shekinah. All right? When Muslims say Islam, right, this is Islam means outward peace. Shekinah means inward peace. So this is Shekinah. Equity is Shekinah. It is inside, right? For many years, Matheno was a master in this temple of the Brotherhood. Of the Brotherhood. All citizens of a free national government, according to their free national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. The Brotherhood. For many years, Matheno was a master in this temple of the Brotherhood. And when he told about the life of John and his mission to the sons of men, the Hierophant. So who's the Hierophant? The governor? Possibly? Where are we at? The Hierophant with joy received the harbinger, and he was called the brother Nazarite. Brother, he was made one of the people. We the people, sons and daughters, posterity, brothers and sisters, humanity. For 18 years. 18 years. Someone else did something for 18 years too. For 18 years, John lived and wrought within the temple gates, and here he conquered self, became a mastermind, and learned the duties of a harbinger. So, you right now are John, showing that you are preparing the way. Right? Once the people take notice, you become Jesus. Right? And the cycle, whoever, now you are still harbinger. Right? You again, we are learning to perfect ourselves. We are learning to follow in order to lead, in order to bring more to follow that know how to lead. Y'all see how that works? This is not just, I'm going to just tell y'all whatever and, you know, not hire y'all from within, you know. Congrats. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate the love 100. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh. So again, you are the harbinger. You are the principal. You stand as principal. The state, though, remember, you're clothed. You're clothed in the flesh. So you have the authorization and appearance of the state to stand as surety. All right? But you are the principal standing. Right? And then you also are the equitable owner, because you're discharging, you discharge the affair. You made sure that the principal was taken care of. You administrated that. You cut it loose. You got rid of all the expenses. You said, hey, look, I'm here to settle. No controversy. You got rid of the expenses. Right? Your credit offset. This is discharge, this is charge. So your debit became secure through the state, was recognized as a credit, compensated completion. All right, you know what? So now I'm going to get back into this. This is just what happened to me when I read these 4 chapters, but I only gave y'all 3. Right? But when I opened up the Circle 7 and I started reading from chapter 1 to chapter 4, because my mind is so tuned in with economics and Drew Ali's economic security program based on love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as he says, because I'm so locked in on that, it manifests itself too. So I'm going to read some more, and I'll bring y'all some more information, right, relative to this redemption of sin program. Remember, you redeem debt, and sin is debt, and debt is transgression of the law. Okay? I would like you all to know that I am we the people, and I have a U.S. citizen, and I act in the character of a national citizen. All right? I am the Most High, speaking through this body as you are, just like you are the state, speaking through this personality. Right? You are not a person. I am not a person. But I can act as a person. And I'm always going to act as the entrusted beneficiary who is the fiduciary. I can no longer act as a child. I have to act as a grown-up. Your passport, your national ID, your national identity card, according to the U.S. Department of Justice Criminal Resource Manual, right? Ain't nothing higher than that national identity card right there. Drew Ali said that this movement is supposed to raise our social, moral, and economic status. So this information has to deal with economics, with commerce, with regulation, with trust, with the states. It has to. When we read this literature, if we cannot see the foundation, which is trust law, then we're lost out here. As always, I'm your brother, Dave Assell. Come to show you the way to your own salvation. Right? Umoja. Umoja means unity. This symbol means unity. Umoja. I've come to unite. Islam, Islam, Islam.